Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve, Ramona.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I am so excited to have you join us today. We dedicate this podcast exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose of a servant's heart. We believe when you approach your work and your life that way, you could truly make a difference. And wouldn't you want to make a difference every day or as much as you can? And we also developed this show to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you to make an impact in your world. As I told my guests before the show, if we get all three of those, it's a grand slam. But if even we hit one of those, it's definitely a home run. And really important, the call to action I always put out is how you're going to serve yourself and others today and what impact you create today. And the key word there, of course, is today. Let's not wait till tomorrow or next month. Let's start today. And I'm so excited and proudly so excited to have my sponsor today, my incredible partner, Pantheon Alliance. Would you like to be part of an exclusive community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from very diverse industries? Together, they're building a thought leader platform to impact and change the world. With that being said, we're going to change the world of restaurateurs, people that serve food. Guess what? It's a big part of our society. We all go out to eat, some once a month, some once a week, some once a day. Doesn't matter. We all go to a restaurant. If we can make the restaurant better and our experience better, which I think a restaurant, that's the most important thing, is the experience and then the food. Well, guess what? My guest makes that experience even better. I want to welcome to the show, Matt. Welcome.
Steve, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for having me on.
ClearCogs. I say that I've said it 4 times today. I love that name. Where to come by and what does it mean?
Yeah, look, in the restaurants, COGS, it's your cost of goods sold. It's your food costs. And it's one of those things that very few restaurants have clarity on, and even less clarity on what to do to improve them. And so that's what we're here to do. Help improve food costs, help improve labor costs so that all those people that are out there serving you every day, have some better information. How can we serve them better?
Yeah. Experience. And we've talked about when we first met, it's so important in a restaurant. You can have okay food. We're eating, if it's not burnt or cold or whatever, it's probably pretty good. Of course, there's Michelin star, 3-star restaurants and all that. But how do you help the consumer or customer in this case have a better experience?
Yeah, look, the hardest thing to do in a restaurant is to create that experience, to create those magical moments. And, that's why people get into restaurants. They get into serve, they get into, create the magic moments. And yet, one of the dirty secrets is to run a successful restaurant. You also have to master the cold analytics of the business, the number side of it. And, this whole wave of AI that you hear about constantly, it's never going to come create those experiences for customers, but it's really good at managing the metrics and helping do the cold analytics. And, that's where ClearCogs comes in. We're a bolt-on solution, a point solution that goes into restaurants and is able to take all that data that they're generating every day to help make better decisions around, how many briskets do I smoke tonight for tomorrow? Or how many bagels do I need to bake this morning? So that, me as a customer, when I walk in, I've got that hot food that I've been, looking forward to all day ready for me. You're not out of stock. It's not stale, but, I'm really getting that killer experience I'm expecting.
I love that because as I told you 21 years ago, I helped my friend launch a fish restaurant. We threw hundreds of dollars a week of fish away because it goes bad 24, 48 hours. So I lived that. And it was like looking at our numbers and he didn't look at them often enough because that's my other question. He jumped into this because he was a cook. He was a chef and said, I could do this myself better. but the business acumen is not there. How do you help that passionate restaurant owner to be a better businessman?
Well, you don't have to be a great businessman to understand your problems. So, that chef, when your partner, when you went into the fish business, like he knew that he was throwing away fish. He knew it was
Yeah.
bad. He just didn't know how to solve it. So a lot of times, our interactions with customers is more like a therapy session. What's keeping you up at night? What are the decisions that you got correct yesterday would have made a difference in your life? And then that's where all the data scientists and engineers come in and optimize, based on the day of the week and time of the day and weather and, these holiday effects, this is the right number of whole salmon to order tomorrow so you're not throwing away that fish.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes them a better business owner. And I love that you said you don't need to be a great businessman. That's why they have ClearCogs and your lawyer and your accountant and other people to help you with. Give me a success story. I'm excited to hear about this of a company you work with and saw the experience and the company grow.
Well, look, it goes from, big organizations like, Jimmy John's. I was a Jimmy John's franchisee for the better part of a decade. And, I had problems like 2 hours prior to close. Do I need to bake another cycle of bread? And I'd have assistant managers sticking their head out the door, looking at the weather, looking at the lines of the bar and then just guessing. Being able to go in and tell them, today, based on all these, patterns, the right number is 18 sticks of bread. We did that. And we were able to reduce bread waste by over 53%. And then it goes into your local barbecue place that, needed to figure out how many racks of ribs to smoke in the morning. You save a couple racks of ribs every day. It may not seem like a life-changing number to you, but, if you add on $10 a day, $20 a day, this adds up in restaurants. That's the difference between them being able to hire another person or make their mortgage or have to close their doors. But it ranges from saving $1,000 a month to, some groups saving $7,000 a month per
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, and it's interesting. This is a bird we call the employee servers or waitress, but we use servers. So there's service in the industry itself, and you're serving business owners and business partners with the ability to have more knowledge.
It's funny.
Go ahead. No, I
I
love
was
that you
say
say it.
it's funny you say that. So there's not as much of that as I'd like to see. So in restaurants, we come from a place of serving others. That is
Yeah.
our core function. And yet I see constantly, day in and day out, restaurant technology companies not trying to serve clients, but sell a product to customers. And it just doesn't work. Restaurants have such little bandwidth and they need this support. And every restaurant is so different. So being able to really adopt, as you love to say, that service mentality, a servant's heart, into technology so that we can serve those who serve others, like that's something we need to see more of in the industry.
I love that because now you got me thinking, as a employee or an owner of a restaurant, when you have less stress because of this information that you give me, I can serve better, right?
No, we talk about it all the time. I mean, the difference between being reactive and
Mm,
proactive. When you're reacting to whoever walks in the door, you constantly are sitting there in this place of stress. I don't know who's going to walk in. If too many walk in, I'm going to have to scurry to catch up. If not enough people walk in, I'm worried I'm going to be throwing product away. That's a stressful way to live.
yeah.
And when you flip that to that proactivity, where you've made these decisions in advance, in a place of calm, right? You're able to sit there and confidently not worry about all these things and instead focus on the customers in front of you and building your team.
Yeah, we have me and my wife's friend, best friend, and my friend now owns a restaurant. We were just talking about on Sunday. I told her you were coming on, and her systems are so impeccable. She's packed all the time. So what I learned from you a few months ago or a few weeks ago when we met is you help with those systems so that manager can do better, that server waitress can do better. Talk about that because I think that's important.
Well, look, again, it goes back to that reactivity. So what I
Yeah.
see on a daily basis is an owner that says our food costs are too high. It looks like we're throwing away too much chicken. You, manager A, stop throwing away so much chicken. Like, what do you do with that? The manager doesn't know. I guess I just make less chicken. And they run out the next day, and then the owner's mad that they're running out of chicken. It's this, let's call it cause and effect iteration of just trying to figure out, get your finger on the pulse of the business. Us being able to take the owner's objective. I would like to reduce chicken waste, and I'm okay with running out once a month or once a week, and being able to turn that into an actual number for the manager that they can actually execute on. Bridging that gap, that's where the magic's created.
You had $1 million tip there. You don't even know it. You restaurant people, I know I told Matt, there's a number of people who own restaurants that listen. It's okay to say, and this is a server's heart, like, hey, we just ran out of tilapia. And if somebody bitches and moans, and because it's happened to me, I'm like, okay, do you want me to throw 3 pounds of tilapia away? And once you say that, and you can show numbers from ClearCogs, it's a game changer. If somebody's mad won't come back, then you don't want them back. That's $1 million tip for restaurant owners. You want to run out of food.
Well, let me say this. I was sitting in a manager meeting. It was a group of managers that we were implementing this with and their owner. And one of the managers raised their hand and said, I have a question. What if a bus shows up? It's like, if a bus shows up, you're going to run out of product. The real question is, do you want to run in an organization where you prepare for a bus every day and throw all of that food out? And, the owner's like, no, we've run the numbers. This is how we want to operate. You could just see the manager go, okay, I'm not on the hook if a bus shows up.
Yeah. That's the audience. If you're in the restaurant industry, take that to note. Share this with other restaurant people too, managers and above, because I think this is very cool. The elephant in the room, you mentioned earlier, is AI and technology. It's always tried to delve into even back in 2003 when I was in a restaurant, better merchant payment system, all that tech, even back then, was trying to talk about that, because you mentioned earlier, but what's the potential reality for restaurants with AI?
Well, look, there's huge potential. I think the way that I look at it's this: great AI technology is something that you as a customer should never see and never notice, right? It's not the robot that's going through the kitchen and picking up your dishes. It looks much more like, voice AI on your drive-through, where I'm not waiting for somebody to come on, but I'm interacting with it, not even realizing it. Or in our case, it's going on in the background. The manager has no idea that 100 million data points were analyzed 30 minutes ago to tell him that this is the number of fries. All they know is this is the number of fries I should have up at a given time. So, as I watch this evolve in the industry, I always think, how do we let the humans create the magic moments in the experiment or experiences? And how do we figure out ways to leverage AI so that we're able to do more of it and not be focused on the analytics side?
That's so well said. So you keep the human experience going, but the power of AI in the background. The customer will never see that, except the chicken's on the table, the tilapia's on the table, or, hey, we've run out, but we've got this replacement.
And just think about it. The best managers that you've interacted with at a restaurant are not cold business people. They're the people that embody hospitality. Those are the people you want running your restaurant. Yet today, I guess the way it's been forever, restaurants are a quasi-manufacturing plant that happens to be attached to a customer service, segment. And you've got the person that's running the customer service thing also having to run the manufacturing. And it's not the right skill set. You really want to optimize for people that are great with people and find ways to leverage technology to handle the business aspects, the manufacturing aspects of the business.
Now, you're a franchise owner, and this is nothing against franchise owner, but your McDonald's, burger, down across the board, even Jimmy John's, become cookie cutter. You've got your franchise model and the tendency to run it that way. What can ClearCogs do for a friend? Because I think a franchise owner, if they were an outlier, followed their parameters, but did something, maybe more service, maybe whatever that looks like, where can ClearCogs come in to make my Jimmy John's franchise a little better than others?
Well, look, 2 points to that. First off, I love the franchise model.
Yeah.
I took over my first Jimmy John's at 21. I knew nothing of what I was doing. And they gave me the playbook. They said, look, follow these systems and procedures and execute, and you'll be successful. And that's what I did. And literally, we took that business from doing 400,000 to 1.2 million over the next 18 months.
Wow.
And that says two things. One, franchising is important because it allows people that are great operators to succeed in the business. Number two, the growth in sales was a result of better service. They got better service because of execution. So, there's a lot of room for franchisees to be able to actually, they're not all the same, right? Not every Jimmy John's is the same. It wasn't the same before I got there and after I got there. So, there's ways to improve that. The second thing I would say, and this you could say is a little bit of a gripe with the franchise system, is franchisors make their money on top line revenues. They take a royalty, right? So they're highly incentivized to get revenues up. They're not necessarily incentivized to make sure that the restaurant is running the most efficient or most profitable. And, we've slowly walked into a world where you've got rising food costs, rising inflation, and a price-sensitive customer, and restaurants are going out of business. So both franchisors and franchisees are finally addressing these inefficiencies in the bottom line, and that's really where ClearCogs comes in.
I like that because, and I mean, there's been great, I've been to an Applebee's, their service is fantastic. I've been to another, and that's no different than family run restaurants too. There's some great and some not so great. So I always like to be clarify my mindset on that because I do agree. You've got a business in a box. 21 years old, you've never run a business. You're able to come right to Jimmy John's, go, here's your box, rent like this, and then put your own little flair into it. I love that.
You skipped over a really big point there, and that
Please.
is, the independent restaurants, they don't have that playbook. It's that much harder between the fact that they don't necessarily have group purchasing contracts, their food costs more, there's no playbook. So, one of the things that we've been working on, and we're really excited about is we just partnered with Toast. We're on their Toast Partner Connect on how can we productize what we've done for these large organizations into a single click and deploy solution for independent restaurants so that they can start to get some of this technology. Because look, the independent restaurants, they're kind of the heartbeat of our community. I know how sad it is. You go visit some wonderful place that, and it's all just like tourist chains. Like, this isn't the heart and soul of, Baltimore. This just feels like every other town. So, whatever we can do to help those independent restaurants, it's something I feel very passionate about.
Audience, he just proved what a servant's heart business looks like right there. He could go right to franchises and probably do quite well, or go just to independent and do quite well. He's looking at the full picture, his company, who he can help, he's going to help, doesn't matter where they come from. So I appreciate you saying that. What is, ClearCogs, how long have you been around?
About 3 years.
So you've hit good 3-year mark. What's your vision and future look like?
Look, I want to be able to provide that restaurant co-pilot to every restaurant there is. Right? How do I get a fractional CFO, COO that's sitting in my pocket that can answer that one question? What do I need to know today? So that whoever is running that restaurant is focused on motivating their team, serving their guests, and not, monitoring tomato prices and, their EBITDA margins and what's my profitability on this menu item due to an increase in, commodity costs. Like, that's not their world. And that's a world that, AI and data can solve.
You just presented, which I just realized, you saving the manager or owner time, and time is money, and time is stress, and time is anxiety. So that guy's not there till midnight doing his numbers where he could push a couple buttons, and maybe do it at home at 10 o'clock in the morning, whatever he does. He gets the information he needs. Okay, and he fixes. This is such a servant's heart company. That's why Matt's on here. We're coming to the end here. How much has this restaurant industry changed? You were Jimmy, you started at 21, you're 25 now, so you've only been out 4 years. So I'm half kidding. You've been in the industry for a long time. What do you see change? What advice do you give restaurant owners who are starting up or have been there for a while?
Well, look, a lot of things haven't changed. The business itself is still very much the same. The numbers you manage as a restaurant really haven't changed. It's what are my revenues? What are my food costs? What are my labor? I think some of the things that really have changed is, we as an industry have benefited from low cost labor for a long, long time, and we've built an industry on it. Back in the 1950s, you didn't eat out every day for lunch. It was a treat when you did. That shifted, and now all of a sudden the industry is reversing course again and now changing that. And that's changed the economics of the business. At the same time, you've got those rising food costs. You've got that price sensitive customer. And, I would say one of the other things that's changed is, post pandemic, there's just been a flood of new restaurant technology. 10 years ago, you couldn't beg, borrow, and steal to get somebody to build something new in the restaurant space. And now there's a SaaS solution for everything. And so I think there's more distractions than ever. I think the stakes are higher than ever. And I think that information overload is a tough thing to navigate.
COVID made them look in the mirror. Got to do things different.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the percentage, but it's a large percentage of restaurants closed within 2 years, and then 10 years in the past, just too many, because it was one of that perfect storm of for restaurants. You had to pivot. And if you didn't have your numbers, you're in trouble.
I think it's going to be a painful transition, but at the same time, I think it's a good transition. I mean, you went from an industry with very little technology resources. Now all of a sudden they're getting addressed. It was a low wage, low paying job. It was a low margin business. And now all of a sudden the industry's really got to figure out, how do we take care of our people? How do we have healthy margins? How do we have an enduring business? And, I think the transitions are never comfortable, but as we get out of this one, I sure like to think that the industry's left in a better place.
Perfectly well said, perfectly way to end the show. And you're right. If you learned a lesson in COVID, and it's every business, we're just focusing on restaurant because that's who you work with. And this could be something down the road, could be in other industries, plumbers, electricians down the road. I think you guys are looking at, but restaurant, because that's your experience. I want to end with a really fun question. Let's do some improv.
Let's do it.
So speaking of restaurants, you've got a reservation at a restaurant for a table of 4. You're in one chair. In the other 3, who are you going to invite, either dead or alive? Why are they invited? And what food is Matt ordering?
Okay. So I'm going to go with, let's go with Thomas Edison. I think he'd be a fascinating one. Einstein. And then I'd throw in like an Elon Musk, right? So like you kind of get the past, present, and future. And then on the food side of it, look, I just love Mediterranean tapas. So like I'm just getting some good food in there and letting the conversation take it from there.
Let's start a tapas restaurant. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it publicly.
Bar.
Oh, it's fun experience. Back to the old experience thing. Well, that's a smart table as I think about it. That's a pretty smart table.
What's your table? I'm
My
sure.
table?
Yeah, I'm sure you've thought about it.
Well, Elon Musk, definitely, because he's got more courage in business than, Mark Cuban and Jesus. Because I'd like Mark Cuban, Elon Musk to talk to Jesus and say, because I know they'd learn from him what he did when he was on this earth for 33 years. But nobody's ever asked me my table. So and what I would order, Italian, a lasagna, probably family style. So we all could dip in. If you're a vegetarian, you get that. That's why I love Italian style, and part Italian too. That doesn't hurt. So thanks for asking, Matt. We just had a new landmark in doing business with Servants Heart. The host got asked the question. And I really appreciate that. Okay, with that being said, we're having our fun. People are reaching out. I know some people out there are restaurant people. How can they support you and contact you to learn more?
Well, look, if they're a Toast restaurant, just go on the Toast Partner Connect. You can enable us for free. We've got a freemium product over there. If you're any other restaurant, you can find us on ClearCogs.com. You could book a meeting on the website. Look, we'd love talking with restaurants, even if you're not a fit. Like, it's worth the conversation. We get educated, you get educated, and it's never a waste of time.
An audience, if you're in a restaurant, like I said, manager or above, employee don't, but if you're making decisions, why not reach out? Because listening to experience, he has, I know your partner have much experience and many years experience in the restaurant. Just learning from them could change your business and flip it around. But learn about ClearCogs too, because your cost of goods sold is the bottom line. If you're not selling food, you're not going to stay in business, right?
Bottom line, it's about the bottom line.
Amen. What a way to end. Well, I always tell you guys out there, your call to action is subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I say that because if you know somebody in the restaurant industry or you've been in a restaurant that think they need help, reach out to the manager and give them this podcast. How cool is that? What a way to serve your favorite restaurant. Like, hey, I think you need I think ClearCogs might be a good opportunity for you. And they implement, and their restaurant grows, and you get maybe lower prices, better service. It will ultimately come back to you. It's okay to be a little bit selfish, but share it with restaurant people, restaurant owners, anywhere. That's the power of podcasting, is you get to listen to Matt's passion, Matt's experience, and Matt's love to make a restaurant do better. It's all about service. With that being said, me and Matt want to thank you both, all of you, not both of you, but all of you, for watching and listening to this podcast. And we'll see you in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks for having me, Steve.